All right, here we go, right? Remember that line from the Poltergeist? They're back. Well, it's not quite the Poltergeist. It might be, actually, but a lot of people feel like it could be. Mask mandates are slowly making a comeback. Schools and medical buildings are leading the way with them. Say it ain't so. This is where I stand on these mask mandates. Ready? Don't mandate them. Now, if you want to go ahead and wear one, go right ahead. It's fine. It's a free country. But forcing everyone to protect themselves to the level of the most terrified citizen is not going to fly this time around. At least it won't with me. Now, what's next? Lockdowns? It's a great study in human behavior. Well, we noticed more maskers at the grocery stores in Nashville over the weekend. Maybe you've noticed it too. Some, I'm sure, are wearing them even when they know they provide little to no benefit. We have to find a smarter way to keep these people feeling safe without sacrificing any downturn in economic activity. It's the default position for administrators who don't have it in them to make solid, sound, difficult decisions. And it is an easy default, but it also does have its consequences. How do we stop this madness? Where can we draw the line? It's another form of control we don't have to sign up for. Oh, we knew just the person to have this conversation with. Please welcome into the show, Rebecca Walser. Rebecca, you are just the person to have this conversation with. It's one of those forms of control that, for some reason, Americans are all too willing to accept. Why?
You know, Scott, I got to say, if you look at Asia and you see the smog in China, for example, and you look at Shanghai, you see people wearing masks all the time. They're very conditioned to do what their government says. Oh, the smog index today, put your masks on, and their citizens wear their masks. You know, in America, we're supposed to be a lot more freedom loving. And that really turned a lot in 2020 when we lost a lot of our natural protections and freedoms, or at least it became very apparent that we had already lost them, Scott. And so now with this lockdown, obviously, we've had whistleblowers come forward with TSA stating that we'll be back in masks on planes by October. We know that schools are looking at potentially masking up again. And what I have to say is, when we've had 4 peer-reviewed studies that show that the molecule of the virus is smaller than the holes of a traditional mask, and then we also have studies showing that breathing in your own carbon dioxide and keeping a mask in your face is actually harmful for your health. All of these things make parents have to say, not this time. And so for us, what we're planning on doing is if our school goes back to mask mandates, we're going to organize about 100 parents and we're going to have 100 kids go to school one day without masks. And let's see what the school does when 100 kids shows up and says, no, we're not going to do it. This is got to stop, Scott. If we allow another lockdown situation like we did in 2020, after everything that we have learned since 2020, then we deserve to have our freedoms taken away.
That's what it bothers me. And I said in my monologue, why are we continually legislating down to the lowest common freaked out denominator, right? Why do we have to ask the most scared person in the room what's going to take to make them comfortable and then make everybody conform to that comfort level? I don't understand it. It happened over and over the last time around, and that's what made me mad. Why don't we say this? If you're comfortable wearing one, go ahead and wear one. If you're not comfortable, then you don't have to. That's fine. But we're not going to come in here and with a blanket sweep of my arm say, no, we're going to find the person that's the most scared and make you come down to their level. And that's what we've been doing, and I don't know why.
That's really our society, Scott. If you think about that, it goes way beyond masking. It goes beyond, this is how I feel, and this is what I want to call myself. And so now it's not just okay for me. Yes. Now I want to push my agenda onto you. Now I want you celebrating my agenda. It goes way beyond just telling people to do something, and it becomes, this is now the behavior that we're expecting out of the American populace. And you know what? We are losing our traditional values. We are losing who we are at our foundational core. And that is where Americans have to step up this time. Look, if we don't do anything, if we act exactly the same and we comply like we did in 2020, then things are going to become like a totalitarianistic, controlled-based operation. The federal government isn't supposed to be in this information. Anything that is not specifically reserved to the federal government is reserved to the states. We know this. This is a federalist society that we have, yet the federal government is spearheading the National Education Association, the NEA. They're dictating the schools, the policies, and everything, and it has got to end. We do not need top down. We need localized control based on the data on the ground.
Yeah, I mean, look, I said it over and over again the last time around. The restaurants really upset me because I know they're not unionized, and that's part of the problem. But there aren't enough restaurant inspectors in the city of New York to arrest every single restaurant if they all opened up on time, and have them throw into a kitty so that they can take care of the ones that do get thrown in jail. But I think if everybody, like you said, if everybody didn't do it, if everybody on the plane didn't wear the mask, what are they going to do? If every restaurant opens up, what are they going to do? But for some reason, everybody cowers down. And they get that little fear, which they always have to put in there is the fear part, right? Then everybody starts to comply. And this is the last thing I'll leave it to you. It's also coming up on an election. Does that have anything to do with anything?
Well, that's the other thing that irritates me. Like, we haven't had any issues in 3 years, and then literally, 13 months out from an election, and we're starting 14 months out from an election, we're starting this again. How stupid do we say on our forehead, tell us that we're idiots and treat us like idiots again? If we accept it this time, we've become idiots, or like, we have to stop. The government exists for the American people. The American people do not exist for the government. We need to get that relationship turned back around. And I think that the Second Amendment and a lot of people that are thinking, even talking secession, Scott. I mean, we have states that are seriously saying this has gone too far and we've got to stop. So, this is going to be a big test for America.
All right, here we go. Hopefully we pass this test this time around, because there's a lot of other things out there that are pretty nefarious. This is one of them. I don't like it, but I appreciate you coming on because you laid it out there for us. Perfect as always. Rebecca Walser, thanks for being on the show. Rebecca, stay safe in Tampa. We'll see what happens with you soon. All right. By now, I've got my go-tos, right? That's gold, oil, the 10-year yield.